No, a white person will not serve you your Chinese. By PunkThug. TL. Doctor at the bottom. I apologize for being on mobile. It's a long story, but the lawyers just told me I could tell it late last year, so I saved it for fake internet points. Grin. Background. I'm the second manager of a deli department in a large grocery store. AOL. I won a 2-item combo. Half rice, half chow mein, peppered beef and orange chicken. Yes, I remember her exact order. Punk. I gesture to Steve, the Chinese department chef. All right then. My partner in crime will be able to help you with that. AOL. Not him. You. Get me my food. Punk. I'm sorry mama, we're 2 different departments. But Steve will be more than happy to. I am cut off. AOL. I want you to serve me. Not him. Get me my food. Punk. I'm not allowed to cross departments, but Steve will be able to. I am cut off again. AOL. I don't want that. Insert Asian slur. To touch my food. Get it for me now. This goes on for a couple more exchanges. The gist is I try and bring her down. She keeps demanding I help her. So I go to my default and call a manager over the intercom. She keeps screaming. The manager gets there and I try and explain the situation to him while she's still squawking. More racial slurs the entire time. He tries 3 or 4 times to talk her down. Angry old lady just keeps screaming for a white person to get her food instead of this slur. Y'all should probably know that my manager at this time was a big old Samoan dude. To his credit, he tried to talk her down 2-3 times. She kept crowing and then he shut her down. Mama, you are not allowed to shop here right now. Please leave the premises. Guess what? She kept screaming slurs and making demands. At this point the other customers are talking stuff to her. I'm currently trying to get them to shut up. Politely. While my store manager is just insisting that AOL don't get to shop here anymore today. Angry old lady eventually gives up and storms out. Never shutting up. She's going to sue us all. We're all going to be fired. All the cuss words. The works. She's also very insistent that her son is going to make us pay, kill us all. Also important for later. And she's leaving. I'm struck by inspiration. The layout of my department is thus. From the entrance you have about 20 feet of sandwich bar. Then there's a little counter for a check stand. Ends up being important. Then you have our sushi station. Our Chinese hot case. The fried food hot case. You see, I do customer service based on a strict script. Part of that script is the parting sentiment. You always let the customer know how much you appreciate them shopping with us. So as my very large Samoan boss is using his mask to gently herd the angry old lady out of the store, I shout out at the top of my lungs, "Thank you for shopping at company. Please come again." Quote, I'm not going to lie to you and say everyone clapped. But I got some very good laughs from the customers watching this whole ordeal. As a failed stand-up comedian, I enjoyed it. After she finally left, my boss came up to me. God damn it, PunkThug. When you said that, it was all I could do to not laugh. Back to work and clear this line. So we did. I had some customers compliment me on how I handled situation, which is nice. More importantly, my coworkers, who I deeply care about, also showed me their appreciation. That means a lot to me, so that was very nice. All in all, if that had been the end of the story, I would have posted this in March 2020. Boo it. Part 2. The Sun. Same day, about 6/7 of an hour later. 9 p.m.-ish. The store is still open, but the department is long since closed. Part of my duties is finishing up the cleanup at the end of the night. At this particular moment I was scrubbing the floors down by the sandwich area. Mop water all over the floor. Hitting it with a deck brush so I can squeegee it into the floor sink. I even had one earbud in. I was listening to the Tim Suk episode about Genghis Khan. I know that because it is in the court record. Angry voice. You. I look up. I see a very angry young man. Y'all should know. I'm 6'3" but skinny as frick. And I've never fought a day in my life. Entrance to the department. And then about 40 feet of fresh-made salads and sliced meat counters. Whole department runs an easy 300 feet along the west wall. The important thing to know is, the Chinese food and sushi are not our department. This gentleman easily had 2 inches on me. Looked like he lived at the gym. And had several what I can only describe as very prominent intimidating tattoos showing on both his face and arms. Angry voice. Are you the mother, frick? Or that's disrespecting my mother? Question mark exclamation mark. Punk, what? I hadn't figured out what was going on at this point. Son, you're the one that disrespected my mother. Quote. There's really no way to accurately express our conversation at this point. He's leaning up against us 5 feet sandwich bar counter. Looking like death incarnate going to break through the plexiglass. I'm confused at first. Then terrified that this monster is angry at me once I realize what's happening. I do remember the last thing he said. Angry son. You're getting beat. Then he goes over to the sandwich bar check stand and vaults over it into the back counter area. You remember how I said it was cleaning the floor? Fast fact about the tile that's used in deli type areas. It gets very slick. We wear special shoes and still have problems if the floor is covered with water. I had not squeegeed any of the water from the area he landed in. So while I'm still thinking about using my deck brush as a hammer to defend myself, he lands and does a comical slide fall. He hits hard. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Feet slide out immediately upon contact and ends up landing on his head. Like Looney Tune levels of impact. The other employees up at the front check stands have noticed the commotion and come over by then. What am I doing at this point? Well, I've seen the video. There's a good 30 seconds of me standing with a stiff bristle brush over my shoulder like I'm going to blacksmith this guy who's lying on the floor in front of me. Motionless. And there's blood. They don't even work for the same company as I do. We work in the same space. But they are a franchisee. Thus at no time do we serve their food or do they serve ours. Blood in a pool of soapy water on an already red tile floor is kind of weird looking. I don't even like thinking about it now. One of my coworkers is already on the phone with the police and informs them they're going to need an ambulance as well. 911 tells us not to touch him and they're there within 3 minutes. The professionals deal with everything then. Paramedics deal with angry boy and I end up talking to the police for the rest of my shift. I didn't even have to finish the floors and still got an hour's overtime grin. Part 3. The lawyers. This bit of the story is the longest period of time with the shortest amount of interesting stuff. As for myself personally, well, I'm union. This all happened at work and I needed to testify for it. I ended up getting 3 days off and fully paid for maybe 6 hours of deposition and maybe 15 minutes in a courtroom. My favorite points of this part of the whole ordeal. 1. I ended up going downtown and talking to an assistant district attorney. I guess? Who stressed how to just say, I don't know, if I was asked about the specifics of the conversations I had, and then they would legally lead me into expressing the conversation. Then her boss comes in and gets really pissy because I keep telling him, I don't know. He and I did not get along. It might have been my fault, but we shouted at each other a lot. His office sent me a Christmas card though, so throwing kisses. 2. Turns out the son not only had multiple warrants in California, but he had several warrants in other states. The boss district attorney constantly B-word ed about how this made his job harder. 3. When the angry old lady was on the stand, she was exactly how I remembered her standing in line. She cussed every 5th word. Every other time she cussed it was racial. And she had nothing but disdain for the entire process of law. She's a damn dirty B-word. But I can respect that. Other than the racism that is. So yeah, that was my March 2020. I hope you all enjoyed my shameless play for meaningless internet points. Much love. Be kind to each other. TL. Doctor. Old lady wants a white person instead of an Asian person to sell her Chinese food during the pandemic. I tell her no. She throws a tantrum after she gets kicked out of the store. And, as it is unfortunately pertinent to my story, the franchisees are a Burmese immigrant family. Finally, there is a lot of paraphrasing, but this accurately represents the testimony I gave in court. Her son comes back later that night and threatens me, only to injure himself badly during the attack. I end up getting about 3 days extra pay for the whole ordeal and the damn good story. Edit. Because everyone keeps asking. No, I don't recall exactly what he was charged with. I got some terms I think are correct, but I don't want to ruin my good barroom story with bad information. Also, yes, he's in jail. Only reason I know that is because someone called me and told me I would be contacted if he was ever up for parole or release. Part 1. The Lady. This all happens during the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. Mostly our customers were great, but everyone was running high stress then. After the head boss leaves, I'm in charge, so I try and hide in the back and do the cooking. Only coming up when the front area needs extra hands. Anyways, this day I'm cooking or frying something or other, and I hear commotion in the front. I hate customer service, but I'm really effing good at it. So I head over to see what's going on. There is an angry old lady just absolutely losing her stuff at the Chinese hot case. I go over to figure out what the problem is. Punk. Hello ma'am, how can I help you?